This is Arwen. She's a husky Kelpie mix and a little asshole. I wonder if she can jump, my dad asks the first 5 minutes we have her. She perks up at the word and clears a 6-foot fence from sitting on the ground. Oh, shit. Later that night, she got up on the counter and ate 3 pounds of corned beef in roughly 68 seconds, but this was considered part of the learning curve of having a new dog. I wake up at 4 a.m. to the sound of the toilet being flushed repeatedly in the hall bathroom and assume plumbing is now possessed by angry and wasteful ghosts. I get up to disconnect it and find her in the bathroom, standing to flush the bowl and then shoving her head to drink the running water. I'm not totally awake, so I stand there like an idiot trying to understand this, and my sister gets up to see what the noise is, sees the same thing, and also stands there. Fiancé notices my absence and does the same. Mom eventually wakes up and finds us standing around like very confused zombies and almost joins the parade of baffled zombies before shrieking, "The water bill!" We got her a circulating water bowl after that. My parents don't have AC, but they have one of those fridge on top, pull-out freezer below fridges. Last summer, we were remarking that we might need to shave her so she didn't get heat stroke, to which she looked up, made a disgusted noise at us, then got up, used the dish rag to pull open the freezer, and climbed on top of the frozen vegetables, stretching out and sighing contently. Arwen, Mom began, but was interrupted by a loud "Meow" from Arwen. Okay, you can stay there for now, but we're getting you a kiddie pool so you have to get out when we get back. Don't eat anything. She ate a bag of frozen green beans and farted for 3 days straight. Took her walking along the lake with the long lead so that she could sniff things to her heart's content. She went about shoving her head in the undergrowth, usually coming up with her head covered in leaves and pollen, except for the bush where she came back out with a 7-foot bull snake wrapping itself around her head and neck, trying its best to strangle her before she can eat it. She immediately ran back to me, the parts of her face not occupied with the snake arranged in a gleeful expression of, "Look, I found snacks!" I screamed, not immediately recognizing that it wasn't a rattler, and fell, splitting my knee on the rock. The screaming made her let go of the snake, but I still had to grab her and wrestle the snake off her because it lacked the sense to just scuttle away. I finally got it loose from her despite her best effort to continue trying to eat it, and turned around to fling it off the trail and directly into the face of one of my 90-year-old neighbors who'd come out to see what the screaming and profanity was, making her collapse. I'm pretty sure being told I accidentally threw a snake at my neighbor was the highlight of that EMT's day. Dottie was unharmed but still doesn't speak to me. One day we left her in a harness and overhead tether in the, at the time, unfenced backyard so she could enjoy some relatively free-range outdoors time. I walked by the window not a minute later to find her completely gone and race out to the yard to find her. It took me a good heart-pounding 5 minutes to realize the overhead tether was going up into the ancient silver maple and realized that, one, apparently Arwen could do something really weird with her shoulders where they pop out sideways, allowing her to bear hug the tree, and two, climb a good 40 feet into the tree to fight a porcupine, which I didn't even know lived out here. Fortunately, porcupines weigh considerably less than Arwen, and she couldn't get a good enough foothold to get all the way up to it. But I still had to climb up there and lower her down, barking dog profanities at the porcupine the whole way. My parents recently acquired a mechanized recliner, which has been instrumental in Mom's hip surgery recovery. Except that Arwen also likes lounging on the furniture and is more than capable of hitting a large, elderly-friendly button with her paw. So now when she gets back from a walk or the dog park, she makes a beeline for the living room, gets in the recliner, and pushes the button until it's flat and stretches out in it. My parents didn't have a problem with this because she gets out of the chair when they ask her. Mom even tells her, "Go get my chair ready" in winter because she does a good job pre-warming it, until last winter when Arwen taught my dog Charlie, another devoted couch animal, how to do this. One afternoon, there was a tremendous outburst of barking and snarling from the living room, and we rushed in to find both dogs in the recliner, Charlie on the fully reclined back and Arwen on the elevated seat and footrest, bellowing at each other for control of the recliner, their movements having pitched it back to its 2 hind feet, the device swaying to and fro like a leather-covered boat. Neither dog was willing to yield the plush throne, nor to listen to the humans yelling at them to knock it the hell off, until Arwen tackled the usurper, knocking him off and managing to cantilever the recliner clean over, flipping it into the hall, both dogs and humans miraculously unharmed. She still doesn't let him sit in it. I love her so much. evening reblog with an additional shenanigan I just remembered. One of the regulars at the dog park was an unfixed basset hound with an obnoxiously indifferent owner, Brad. Brad shows up pretty much to smoke weed and let Bojangles harass the other dogs, in spite of regular complaints about Bo starting fights and trying to mount every dog, leg, and toddler in sight. One evening, Bo was particularly interested in Arwen, aggressively following her, nipping at her heels, and trying to mount her, even after her usual Wolverine-like snap and snarl, which has tended to discourage unwanted suitors before. Brad was too damn high to notice, as usual, but Mom knew that if Arwen actually bit Bo, Arwen would be the one in trouble, and was trying to call her, when Bo made yet another attempt and Arwen finally had it. Instead of rightfully tearing his face off, Arwen instead did what Mom described as a judo-style front flip that pulled Bo clean off the ground and threw him on his back. Arwen landing on her feet like a cat. Bo's stubby little legs didn't allow him to right himself before Arwen jumped on him, front paws slamming into his saggy basset balls, squatted over his face and peed on him. "Arwen, no!" howled my mother, as nearly everyone else present laughed. But having made her point, Arwen daintily got off Bo and trotted over to the gate, ready to go home. Bo yelped and got up and skulked away, only moderately bruised, cowering under the bench by Brad, who finally noticed something might be amiss. Mom remembers hearing, "Dude, why is my dog all wet?" right as they were leaving. Apparently nobody told him what happened because Brad still brings Bo to the park, but Bo has much better manners now. I read this whole thing to my mom, and upon reading the end part, she was like, "Oh my god, our dog Lady once flipped another dog, and I didn't know it was a thing dogs could do." So there's that. Update, Arwen was at the vet's office for a checkup and daycare, and decided partway through the afternoon that the other two Kelpies were annoying her. But she didn't want to go inside to be kennelled for a nap, so she instead ninja'd her way onto the vet's roof despite there being 3 people in the yard watching the dogs and no clear way up there. She had a pleasant hour watching the vet staff try to figure out how she did that and how they were going to get her down before Mom came to pick her up. So, "Arwen, get your furry butt down here." At which point Arwen obediently got down by jumping into a nearby tree that's technically inside a neighboring house's yard, shimmied down like a bear, then walked out of their side yard and back around the block to come sit at Mom's feet, putting her paws up like she expected a treat. That tree is not accessible from the daycare yard. We still have no idea how she got up there. Shine on, you beautiful bitch.